right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Night Live with Nick and LG. He says he's LG tonight, so he's going to be LG. I am going to be Nick. We'll see how that goes.
I'm actually a good DJ, so I can't be LG.
Ouch, that sucks. You know, who taught you?
I don't know.
I don't know. That guy sucked. Anyway, so here's what we got, man. We actually got a really special guest tonight. We've got Kevin RynDog Ryno in the house. One of the veterans for the Spokane nightclub scene. He's been in multiple establishments, partying, making your night a better one for quite a few years. I actually met you originally, I want to say Outback Jack's.
Probably.
I was 21, I think.
I think you were maybe 19 with an ID.
Yeah, no. Well, Ogre wouldn't let me in until I was 21. And shout out to Ogre, Rob Howe. Love you, brother.
What's up, Ogre?
He's going to love that. It's about the only time he ever gets noticed. Just kidding. Love you, brother. Anyway, yeah, no, he wouldn't. He knew how old I was, and he refused to let me through the door until I was 21. So, which was kudos on him. He made sure to maintain the integrity of the Outback Jack's franchise.
If you say so.
Well, granted, I didn't have a real nice rack and a real nice ass. Well, maybe a nice ass, but just kidding. So anyway, thank you for coming, man. We've known each other for a long time. So I guess where do we begin?
It's been 30 years since I've been in the business, so that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been
club DJing was a huge part of my life, and but even before that, when I was younger, under 21, I was doing all sorts of parties. In fact, I remember when I was like 7 years old, my parents had, you remember those multi-system radio players they'd had? And they would have like a record player and a radio. It was like this big unit that would sit on the floor.
Yes, I'm aware of them. I'm not sure he's aware of them, but...
Well, I remember the first time I recorded my first show at 7 years old, and it was on an 8-track. And I loved it. And I would play that thing back all the time, and I still have it to this day. And then ever since then, I really love the electronics. I love the recording. I love, the technology. And I would later on get a boombox for my birthday when I was like 12.
Double tape cassette, I hope.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Perfect.
That's how we roll, baby.
And I would play like a talk show, and I would switch the button from radio to microphone when the announcer was asking a question when they were interviewing somebody. And so I would ask a question that had nothing to do with what they were talking about, but I would flip it back over, and then the person they were interviewing would answer the question. And I just remember doing that. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I made my own interview show.
Nice.
So, but yeah, later on, we're talking late 90s or late 80s, early 90s. I was involved in a group called Demolay. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I haven't.
Yeah, the part of the Shriners, but for kids.
Okay.
And they would have dances. And that's when I first got into wanting to be able to play music on a dance floor for people to dance. And that's where I actually first got started DJing in front of people, was using tape decks back then. And you cue up the tape in the headphones, and you take it out with a pencil, and you turn it back a little bit so it would be queued up perfectly. And that's when I got started before the club scene, which apparently, later on, I ended up continuing my education. I went to the Falls for radio broadcasting. So I was working once I graduated, I worked at Rock 106 and 105.7 The Peak, but I was also doing like weddings and things like that. And I really enjoyed the club scene for two reasons. It was super interactive, and I made a shitload more money.
Mm-hmm.
You can bleep that out, by the way.
Yeah. Choices be damned. Yeah. So, yeah, the nightclub scene. So, like I said, when I met you, you were at Outback Jack's, you were at Double Dribble.
Yeah, I was at Outback's for 7 years. Consistently, I had left for about a year. At one point, I just dropped to one night, and I worked in this place originally it was called Mother's. and then they closed and opened up as Mother's Pub, and I actually left the Outbacks and worked there for a little while. And there was a lot of other clubs downtown that I did guest appearances for, but do you remember Johnny Rockets?
Absolutely.
Johnny Rockets, yes, I remember that place. They were in pretty good direct competition with us, and I remember the owner. Kind of a funny story. He really wanted me to come work for him. He wanted me to leave Outbacks. Obviously, that was back when Outbacks was pulling in 500-600 people on a Saturday night.
Right.
And one way that he could disrupt that is take away their main DJ. And I remember him taking me to Luigi's one night, and we ordered some drinks. And he's like, "I really want you to come work for me." And he had this briefcase. He opened it up, and there was a shitload of money in cash. He's like, "I want to pay you in advance for 6 months." And one of the things I think a lot of DJs still to this day in Spokane is you have really good loyalty to your clubs if they treat you right.
Absolutely.
And Outbacks did. But it was really hard to turn down that money.
Right.
But I was like, if I do this with him, number one, people are going to find out. I'm going to lose my, really, you have to tell me I have to get closer to the mic.
I just did. I was going like this.
But there's a lot of things I think that like the public and people don't know about club DJs or radio DJs and what goes on behind the scenes that they don't understand or concept. That there's a lot of not only a little bit of drama, but there's a lot of like, how are you going to get paid? How are you getting treated? You're not just the guy on stage playing a few records or, playing music. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes to get to that point, to stay behind that point and to be happy there. So yeah, I was at Outbacks. I was at Double Dribble for a while. I was at the Top Hat. I've co-DJ'd with you.
Yep.
Tons of times. Not with you yet. I think
No.
you came into my life a little bit later.
Yeah, I came into your life later, and then you've been on my controller a couple of times.
Oh yes, I probably had a few drinks. Probably didn't work out too well.
Usually, anytime he
I
touches a
usually
controller, that's
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
he has to have drinks to touch a controller.
No,
Yeah.
Confirmed.
No, I was mostly all CD, but I also do vinyl, and that's super fun. Like actual vinyl with no controller, being able to mix.
Great.
Is a little. Not that I don't think that the technology is awesome right now, but it was a lot harder to mix and make things sound good when all you have is a volume and a turntable.
Right.
You don't have.
Then you got crates of records on top
Lordy.
of it. You got to bring in 10 to 12 crates easy.
Crates and crates.
Mhm.
And then you got to sit there and you got to have somebody, like shout out to Jeremy D. I got to bring him up. He would always be your second in command in most of those situations. And then a lot of times I would see you playing a song and he'd be sitting there digging through the crates trying to find something for you guys. So you had the next track up. And so like, that's why I wanted to give a shout out to Jeremy D for that.
Oh yeah. Well, and there's a lot of people that I've worked with, even bartenders, that have gone on to become really great DJs in this town recently. Matt Parker is one of them.
I love Matt.
He was my bartender and the manager of Thirsties way back in the day, and he's just killing it now.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a couple other people that have totally taken over the town as far as mobile DJing and some club DJing. But there wasn't many options back in my day in the 90s and the early 2000s. You had like your 3 or 4 major nightclubs, and everybody would pick like a night. Like Tuesday night was Tequila Tuesday at Swackhammers, and there would be 400 people there.
Right.
Thursday would be College Night at Outbacks, be 400 people there.
Right.
Do you remember the Blue Dolphin?
Oh.
They had their night.
The Blue Whale?
Yes,
We
the
were
Blue
just
Whale.
talking about that.
We were just talking about that the other night.
About that.
I think that's changed. I don't get out as much as I used to, but now it seems like we've got smaller clubs and people are just more spread out. So there's more DJs downtown, I think.
There's a ton of DJs.
There's a lot. Obviously I'm still picking my battles, I guess you could say. Because I'm not ever going to say no to certain places, but from back when I started, and I got to give kudos to you as well, because I was doing weddings and stuff when I was 15, and I started getting into it from there. And my first interview, believe it or not, for an actual nightclub was the Big Easy. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I know, I didn't know.
So when the Big Easy first opened, they still had a giant hole where their dance floor was.
Mm.
And I applied for the job, and Fusion ended up with it.
Oh, Fusion.
Fusion, I love Fusion.
I've got a good story about Fusion.
I've got a few myself. But that was my point. That was my start into that side. And it wasn't till when I applied for that position originally, once I started hearing those guys play, because I mean it was middle of the afternoon. They got some turntables set up, they got some speakers set up, everybody's doing their own thing. And at the time, I was vinyl. And they had CD DJ 1000s.
Oh, yes.
I was not familiar on how to use them at the time. I mean, granted, I can run a pair now.
Mm-hmm.
But I was completely out of my wheelhouse. And so I actually didn't, excuse me, I thanked them for the opportunity, but I actually didn't even audition. That's how good they were. And I was like, I am not at that stage yet. And it wasn't until I spent a lot more time. I got some CDJ 100s. I had to get, because obviously, carrying around crates and stuff wasn't going to work for me at the time. So I ended up getting some CDJ 100s, and then I got into Serato, Scratch Live. And if it wasn't for Scratch Live, I probably would have had a lot more issue. But being able to actually do the audio as well as the visual, it changed my whole game. And then on top of that, Tony Talati from Talati's 211, they gave me a shot, and I built it from there.
Yeah, you've done great. There's a lot of DJs in town that started out really young. I remember seeing Paraffin for the first time. We had. Do you remember?
I love Joel.
Do you know? Remember Dookie? Aaron, as they call him now. So he started or had a night. It was a scratch off type summer of the DJ event at, I can't remember the name of the bar, but I remember seeing Paraffin for the first time, and I think he was 15 at the time. Dude, this guy could scratch like crazy.
It's phenomenal.
Oh, he's amazing. And I would, not very often I would go to certain places on my nights off because, you DJ 4 or 5 nights a week. And I'm like, I'm not going out that night.
Right.
But I would make it a point if I knew he was playing. And there's just so many young DJs when I was in it that have done such a great job. Not only, DJing and keeping the nightlife going, but they've all been very acceptance of other DJs.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a really key point that is still happening in Spokane that, because I would always introduce myself to new DJs and try to help them out, give them some advice. But there was a time when the people I was learning from, it wasn't that way. And no names, but I remember there was this one DJ that I was learning from, watching, going to the shows that he was doing, kind of seeing how things are done in a club. And he was a fantastic DJ, but he was just a real mean person if you talk to him like on side of the stage or request a song or try to have a conversation with this guy.
Right.
And that was one of the things I took with me when I was younger, that I want to be a guy that wants to be friends with everybody, because they're going to come back and want to see me. I'm going to buy somebody a shot, or I may not play your song, or you may ask for a song, and I'll be honest, I'm not going to play it.
Right.
People would rather have the actual, answer of, okay, you're not going to play my song.
Right.
Fine. You're not going to play it? Fine. Yeah, they can get mad at me, but they're not waiting for an hour for a song to be played that I'm not going to play, because then I'm just a total prick.
Right.
So I don't know. I took a lot of those things from the guys that were before me or around me at the time to make myself a better DJ and to help DJs after me kind of go with that same profile. So I don't know. There's just a lot of the back end stuff that goes along with the club DJ stuff. And, that's not the only thing I did. I was on the radio for quite a few years. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Times have changed. I don't do it as much anymore, but I'm really happy to see how things have gone nowadays with the DJs here in Spokane.
Yeah, I feel like right now there are a ton of DJs, but I feel like for the most part, all the DJs know each other, but it's still very competitive in order to like get into a club because those certain establishments, they basically hold on to their DJ, and basically once they have that DJ, it's hard to get in. But as far as the DJ aspect, I think a lot of the DJs in Spokane know each other and talk for the most part.
What I find very interesting that I've seen recently, and I'll use Paul Devine. I love Paul Devine. He's another one of those bartenders. Back in the day, was my bartender at a couple places, and he bought his own equipment and started DJing. What I find very interesting that, especially within the bars downtown, I noticed that they'll play like a 7 to 10 set at one place, and then they'll play like a 11 to close set somewhere else. So like the bars are rotating DJs in one night. I don't know what all those bars are, but I do see that happen a lot. I find it very interesting. I don't know if they're like with the same owners. Like, I know that Paul will be at, this is the name of the place, Lion's Lair, maybe? And then like later on in the night, he's at Baracho's. I don't know if you ever noticed that. Have you seen that happening?
I have not seen that.
Yeah.
But granted, I'm not really going out as much as I used to.
You're more out of the loop than I am then. This is fantastic.
That's a fact.
Ouch. Dick. Anyway, well, we can edit that out. Bleep. I I've obviously been kind of out of the scene, and especially now with the whole Corona thing. I was just,
What's interesting about the coronavirus, which I think is also awesome, is a lot of these, and you're doing this, Nick. You're doing live on Facebook shows, and that's fantastic. Yes. To be honest with you, when I go to a bar and see you guys play or whoever it is that's DJing, yeah, I'm listening, but I'm also drinking. I'm high-fiving people. I'm not really paying attention to the actual mixing. And when I was watching you on Facebook, your technique is fantastic. I never had as much of an appreciation before as I do now. Same thing with Paul. He's doing that as well, Divine. And I was just, listening for a half hour, and I'm like, wow, he's actually really doing a good job. Not just like he's mixing a song and here, let's have a shot. I'm actually paying attention.
Right.
So it's very interesting to get that new perspective on how much hard work they've put in and how good you guys have all come with that.
Yeah, especially with the online. I actually feel it's actually a lot harder online opposed to in the club. Because in the club, everyone's just drunk, dancing, not really caring. But when you have people actually watching you, I'm like, oh, if I messed up, like everyone's going to see this.
Yeah. I can see that being a little bit pressure-wise. Yeah, totally fine.
At one point, I think there was, who was it, me, you, and Kevin, and we actually nicknamed each other, and I think Kevin got, what was it, DJ Dead Air?
DJ Dead Air.
Yeah, and then I think I gave you Trainwreck, and there was something else. I ended up with a nickname that sucked, but it was totally appropriate.
Right.
But it was just kind of one of those things. It kind of, we were working together as a team, and we were trying to make each other better.
Yeah.
But, like when I was going in, like, especially like, when I started doing a lot of club stuff, I got to that point, and I feel bad about it too, because, I'll be honest with you, I got pretty damn cocky there for a while, and
it happens.
It is, when you're making $225 a night, to come in and play a place and you're packing it out, when you go into some other place where you got a $50 DJ, you're going to call all its flaws. I mean, like when I was in, I went over for my father's wedding in Renton.
And you weren't the DJ?
I wasn't the DJ. Well, let me phrase that. He got married in, I want to say, Port Orchard.
His own father isn't hiring him.
Ha 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 ha. Actually, I did play the music for his wedding, smartass. But I didn't bring any of my equipment. I just, it was a small, simple thing. But my aunt took me into Renton, which is where I grew up. And she took me to a bar, and this guy, he kind of reminded me of a couple of DJs, which I won't name, but he had like some rack mount Behringer CD players, right? And he's just basically push buttoning shit, right? Mm-hmm. And he would try to beat match, and right. And then on top of it, he was doing the one thing that I learned not to do, and that's not play for you, play for the crowd.
That's a big one.
It's huge, you know, and I learned that from, to be honest with you, I learned a lot of that stuff off of watching, you know, in my eyes, the greats, you know, Jeremy D, Chris Woods, you know, I have to add D-Rail into that.
Yeah, he
DJ Decibel, DJ Lick. I mean,
your format in the clubs, it's definitely going to change every single night. And you really got to read the crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got people not dancing right now, play a little alternative. Or that's what I used to do. I don't know what they call it now. You know, it's been years.
It's probably classic rock now.
Yeah. Oldies 101. But yeah, you do. And, you know, you can play for yourself, but play one or two songs for yourself. But you always put it in the time frame where it works with the format.
Right.
If you play it for yourself, I'm sorry, it's just not going to work. Right. You got to know the music. You got to know what's hot, what's not hot. You got to learn to separate new music so you can try to play the top 5 songs depending on where you're at. Like if it was a Saturday night and we're packed at 8:30, I can play the same song at 9 o'clock and pack the floor, and I can play it again at 12:30 and pack it again. Right. You know, those are just, you know, I think you learned really good from that. But those are some of the things I used to do as well.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I did pick up, because obviously I was part of a dance crew at one time.
I did not know that.
You didn't know that?
Huh.
Well, Chris knew that because he used to play at Thirsties, where my dance crew used to go to a lot. And love you, Chris Woods.
Are you going to dance for us tonight?
No, absolutely not. Okay. I don't think my knees will handle it.
Do you have a pole somewhere we can set
Ouch.
No?
Hey, wait. We're not a double
I got a
dribble.
hole in the table for a pole.
I forgot they had a pole. They did have a pole.
They did have a pole. So did Bottoms Up.
Yeah, Bottoms Up had a pole.
And so did Hotties.
And that's one of the things, you know, when you're a DJ and, you know, the best places to work for is when you're able to come up with these crazy, extravagant ideas and the owners let you do them. Different things. I haven't really seen a lot of that in Spokane recently. I think just because the bars are smaller, they don't really need to do like some sort of big promotion to get people to come in.
Yeah.
But I mean, we used to do some crazy stuff. We're talking, what would you do for money? Do you remember that competition?
Oh yeah.
What t-shirt contest?
Well, yeah, just give it.
Well, no. He's referring more to along the lines. Would you eat a raw egg?
I would stop by the pet store and I would pick up a package of crickets.
Yeah.
And some worms. I would come by the store and get some pickled pig's feet or whatever. And then it would be like a random Tuesday night. And they would give me like $100. And I would start off, okay, I got $100. Who would eat a live cricket sandwich? Some dude's like, I'll do it. Okay. For $75, who would still do it? Somebody else would say, I'll do it for $75. And you bid them down. Right. And you get down, okay, who will do this for $1? Some drunk dude in the corner is like, hey, I'll do it.
Dewey.
And then I'm like, okay, so
love you, Rob.
The first time I did this, I got down to $1. I'm like, where am I going to go with this? This guy's going to do it for $1, but people are still bidding. So I'm thinking, I'm like, who would pay me $5 to eat this cricket sandwich? Some dude in the corner. I'll do it. I'll give you 10. Dude, seriously, real story.
Oh, yeah. Happened. No, totally.
I paid somebody paid me, I think it was like $35 to eat a live cricket sandwich on stage.
That's terrible.
Paid me.
Nice.
I threw in a free t-shirt, but whatever.
Well, yeah.
But like those type of things I don't see as much, but we had to do.
You can't do that stuff these days.
It was probably totally illegal. But,
well, you know, I mean, as long as you're able to serve food, I guess. But I guess you're okay.
We used to come up with some crazy stuff that would try to bring people in.
Kind of, yeah. I'm looking over here too. Oh, we're good. Okay.
Yeah. So, and
do you have a question for me?
Well, nowadays I'm thinking a lot of the DJs actually aren't using vinyl, but they are going into the controller accent, and they're making those turntables kind of more obsolete. Like it's hard to get your hands on those turntables.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. I mean, the vinyl itself, you can probably find the actual vinyl of the music, but I think a lot of people are using just a platter, and they're using their MP3s, and they're able to mix just fine. Kind of like with the Serato, right? Is that how that works?
Yeah, except for, well, there's Serato, and in my opinion, because I've used multiple platforms, and like there's Serato and then there's everything else.
But I don't think anybody's actually using actual vinyl to play music.
Yeah,
off
yeah.
of.
I don't think anyone's
There's just
actually
too much
Who's
music.
going to carry
Well,
that around?
Exactly. There's too much music.
And how many DJs can actually run turntables these days? Other than you,
Yeah,
a couple in Spokane.
And you know, I've played around with that kind of stuff a little bit, and it is a totally different feel using the platter system with your MP3s or actually using actual vinyl. It's a totally different feel. I got to give a shout out to the guy who actually taught me how to mix on vinyl. In fact, that's where I got my turntables from. Was him. Was DJ Byron. Do you remember him?
I do remember Byron.
Yep. He's over in Las Vegas. So he was the one that I would, because they were open until 4 a.m. So I would leave Outbacks at 2, slightly hammered.
Yep.
And
I do the same at the Big Easy.
I would go into his little booth and he's like, okay, here's what you do. And you got to do this and you got to turn your hand to make it go faster.
Yep.
Hold the knob to slow it down.
Yep.
So yeah, that's where I learned my vinyl. Also Sudi. I don't know if you remember Sudi.
I don't.
Okay. He was the one that also, I think he brought his turntables in and let me use them for a good 4 months before I bought my own. But yeah, I mean, the vinyl itself is kind of gone, but people are using vinyl platters to mix MP3s, which is kind of the same. You know, it's okay. I mean,
he rolls his eyes.
Right.
Kind of the same.
Technology is, I mean, I started out with 8 tracks, man, or with cassette players. And then I went to CDs and people were like, why are you using CD players? Everybody uses tapes. No. Technology
Remember those
is always going
Access
to change.
9s I had?
Oh my God, those things were garbage. I tried not to sell them to you when I worked at
Get an
Guitar
app
Center.
and DJ off your phone.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. 'Cause that's-
I'm just saying the technology
well,
is there.
my point being, and that's actually brings up my next point, because there was a time, and I know, Nick will remember this, that, after the, in my opinion, the greats, you derail.
So you're going to be in the
Jeremy
next
D.
grade, though, at some point in time.
Well, if I actually get back into it, I might. But I was doing okay for a while. But once, in my opinion, again, the greats, Chris Woods, Lick, Decibel.
Oh, Lick.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lick.
Yeah,
Love you,
Ryan, baby. But all of a sudden, when everything went digital, the DJ market took a huge hit.
Mm-hmm.
Because, one night we're making $150, $200 a night in a $30 to $50 tab, depending on who you are. Any given night you can make $350 a night, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once the digital stuff came out, and I got it.
Now everybody can be a DJ. That's where you're going with this.
Yeah, exactly.
Now anybody can be a DJ.
People were coming in and working, like undercutting
Absolutely.
us for a $50 tab.
That's always going
and
to
it
happen.
destroyed the market here. That's one of the reasons why I stopped playing.
That's always going to happen. I mean, it's going to happen no matter what. Some kid is, and that's fine, but it will take years for him to realize that, and then he'll be on the same platform we are. It's always going to happen. It's just going to happen.
Well, and now a lot of the establishments are saying, here, I pay $50 a night, come DJ, or I'll hire someone else. Like the DJs aren't making a price. They're saying, hey, I charge this much, or hey, can I do it for $150? The actual establishment is saying, I only pay out $50, take it, or I'll hire another DJ, because there's so many DJs out there.
Yeah, and they're not mixing. They're running directly off of laptops.
Mm-hmm.
And I could name a few. I'm not going to. But and they're not mixing. They're basically just, they're playing for the money. They're not in it for the love. And that's my opinion.
Yeah. And that could change for them later. But I mean, that's always going to, with any industry, anything in the industry, it
really sucks. Because when I first got into it, I mean, one of the main things the main reason why I actually started doing nightclubs, I don't know if you know this, is because I wanted to play what the people wanted to hear. I was in it for requests. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I consider myself one of the last request DJs. And I know you can back me up.
Can I request a song?
Well, how about this? How about I request a trivia song? Let's do this. Yes, trivia. Who sings Daisy Dukes?
See, I don't do trivia. You know that.
Come on. It's an
I
easy
don't do
one.
trivia.
If I were okay, say you're
I
playing.
know what the cover looks like.
Okay, so
I know where it is in my CD rack, but I don't do trivia.
No. This is gonna be fun. So
I can't tell you. I don't know.
you don't know.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, so can I tell you?
I just know where it is.
Yeah, I could. I
It's
could
right
tell
there.
you. No.
I don't do trivia
So
either.
hold on. I
I
want
get
to
it.
clarify something. Okay, so Sunday nights at Outback Jack's used to be 80s trivia. Okay, and if you won free passes to Double Dribble for
Oh, yeah.
Tuesday nights.
See, we
okay?
cross promoted back then.
Exactly, right? And then they had trivia there, which would get you what? Free tickets back to Outback's on the following Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So I was at Outback Jack's on a Sunday.
You worked the system.
Of course I did.
Nice.
And I wasn't, everybody that's sitting at my table was waiting
Great
for you
job.
guys to ask a
Yeah.
question so I could tell them the answer
Nice.
because nobody wanted to pay that $5 cover. But the one that got me the most,
$5.
yeah, it was a $5 cover
Oh,
back
wow.
then.
I should have a
Um,
raise.
Yeah, I know. I told you. I told you that a long time ago. Anyway, but my point being is, so you guys played Daisy Dukes, and I
Mhm.
wanted to bring this up.
Daisy do.
Daisy Dukes, all right?
Come on, baby.
Yeah, kick
Yeah.
them daisies, right?
Who is the artist of that song?
Exactly. That's
Dude,
what I was
I'm
asking.
Horrible at this.
Because I actually know
Hold
the
on.
answer to this, and according to PC DJ,
Oh, geez. You went there.
and 95% of anybody else's repertoire that actually has that song, it's labeled as what is it? The 69 Boys.
That sounds right.
That is incorrect.
What is it?
It's Deuce.
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely Deuce. And when I went up, because I actually had the CD in my car,
Did you bring it to me?
absolutely.
No, I don't remember that.
After I was told,
Sundays were a rough
after
night.
I was told that I was wrong. So I went out to my car,
I'm
I
thinking
grabbed the CD case, and I brought it in just to get my tickets for Tuesday night.
Oh, well, congratulations.
I just bought it. I figured I'd throw that out because, like I said,
I don't even remember that.
Good job, you scam artist.
no, it wasn't a
Way to
scam.
scam
I
the
was
system.
correct. I was correct. So, brother, we love you. Is there anything you want to throw out? That Szechuan show?
Yeah, they might do something with that. That was something that we did from personally. But also, I wanted to mention that also kind of in the nightlife, we were going to talk a minute or two about Runway Renegades. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So during the end of my type of career, I guess, my wife is a fashion designer. And so she wanted to start taking her designs to sell them. And she would go to, what do you call those things where the guys cut up the wood and make a bear out of it?
Notwish.com.
No, they're like little they're like little festivals. You know, they have like food for sale and other crafts, arts and crafts. There's a name for it.
Amazon.
No, it's in real life. Anyways, she was going to these things and like it wasn't her demographic to sell these things. So I'm like, well, we should just do our own fashion show. Drinking a beer in the back porch. And so we took our connections in the nightclub scene and we did what was called Runway Renegades and built a stage and a runway. And we started that 13 years ago. And this year would have been our 13th year, but obviously it's been canceled. So we'll be doing it next year. But it's a really cool thing because we are up to the point now to where the show itself, the money we get for tickets and from our sponsors, we're able to raise money to give grants to local artists and designers in the Spokane area. Could be DJs if they were to sign up to want to buy equipment or take classes. It could be for anybody. But this last year we raised like $3,500 to give away
nice.
to the community. So that was really cool. So I just wanted to mention that. Yeah, DJing's part of my life. There's just all sorts of different things in the community that have to do with the nightlife. And that's another thing that since I haven't been in the clubs that I've been really focused on, although I quit every year because it's such a headache and I'm so glad that there's a break this year. But yeah, that's just another thing that I've been doing since DJing. So runwayrenegades.com, that's my plug-in right there.
Nice.
You have any questions for me?
I think that's it. I was going to ask you actually about the Runway Renegades, and you answered the question. And this year it's canceled. So next year we're going to make it twice as big.
I hope so. Yeah, it's just not this year. People just don't have the money to buy tickets, and we don't know how this thing is going to go as far as if spikes come back in. So it was just better to not do it. one thing we do for that show, kind of, I guess, nightlife thing, is we usually do 7 fundraisers throughout the year, starting in December. So we'll go to like the Viking and have like a bingo night. We'll go to like Lost Boys and do like a karaoke night. And we try to do, we sell raffle tickets and give out prizes that our sponsors have given us stuff. So, no, it's been a real fun experience to still be doing some sort of, not just DJing, but doing some sort of a production stuff and having an event. I just love having events. Right. And, you know, with my busy life with the actual job now and the kids, I don't have time to actually be full time doing nightclubs and, you know, weddings and stuff.
We're all there at this point.
It's been real nice being able to have that venue to get that, you know, artistic part out on me and organizing all those big events. So kind of what I've been doing recently the last, 13 years or so. But
well, I'll tell you what, next year, if it's okay, I'd like to attend.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe
I'll put you to
assist
work.
in that. Yeah, that's
talking about.
Well, that's
podcast live at the event.
That's usually how it goes. Anytime I show up, I end up working.
Yeah,
so.
we've got 2 big screens that we put up. We've got cameras all over the place. We've got a hell of a light show. Tim from over at
Tim Doyle.
He does a great job.
He taught me how to do lights. That guy's a beast.
Yeah, he does a lot of stuff, and he really, helps us out, as far as like sponsoring the show and all that stuff. But it's a big event, and if you haven't seen it, you guys should go check it out next year.
Yeah, for sure. I want to check that out as well as I got to do it. Obviously I'm not Irish. I'm Cuban and Puerto Rican, but I've, in all the years I've known you and Brewski and everybody else, I have never once been to an Irish drinking team.
Oh,
event.
Yes.
I haven't either.
I think, well, you don't drink those. So
I probably shouldn't talk about the
event.
Irish drinking team on how that actually started, because Brewski and I have kind of a different idea on how it actually started.
Different aspects. My point being is,
but you haven't been to one.
I have not, and I need to go.
So fun.
I need to go.
You have to be at O'Doherty's at like 6 a.m. or wherever they're having.
I've been up since 1:30 this morning.
Right.
So I mean, it is what it is.
I believe that the last current number from this year was lower because of the coronavirus, but I think last year they actually had something like 980 people on the team.
Nice.
Running around downtown with Irish drinking team, official Irish drinking team shirts.
I need one.
And the very first time I started it, in my eyes, it was 5 of us at O'Doherty's with white T-shirts that we put on a pen with a marker, Irish drinking team, and then on the back I've had blank beers, blank shots, and blank kisses, and I still have that shirt to this day. Nice. That was probably, that must have been in 1997.
Oh wow.
It's been going on a long time, but it's a huge event on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I'm definitely down to do it. I just wanted to point it out, give Brewski a little shout out as well.
Yeah, you should definitely
Burnett
do it.
Sportswear. So if you guys need any gear, those are the guys to see.
Are you guys popping up his logo right now when you do from the
we didn't
post-production?
We didn't get into that Szechuan show, but you guys will end up seeing that because we've already talked about it earlier. I think it's
we'll just link it in the post.
Yeah, I think it's about time that you guys got to see that from way back in the day. It's pretty horrendous, but it was a lot of fun, and I think we need to do an episode 3 down the road. We'll see if we can get Chris Woods over here off the coast.
Gosh,
so
that would be hilarious.
I think it would be great. But Kevin, RynDog.
Ryno. He
oh
says,
my goodness.
It's one of those things, man. I love you, man. I appreciate you, and thank you for coming out.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll definitely bring you on. We can talk more shit next time. So
yeah,
we'll get into the crap.
Advertise that Runway Renegades for you before the next event and get you on here talking about that.
That would be fantastic. Bring my wife in. Actually,
absolutely.
She would love to.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to have her in. She's a great woman.
All right.
Keeps you in check.
Oh, sometimes.
All right, guys. Thanks again for attending. I'm LG. This is Nick. And this is RynDog. And we'll see you guys next week. Good night.
Bye-bye.